Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Hubraum on Air. My name is Julia, and I'm coming live to you from our campus in Berlin, from Hubraum, the technology incubator of Deutsche Telekom. Today's episode is all about IoT, or the Internet of Things, or the communication among objects enabled by an all-round connectivity. It has, however, evolved more and more into the Internet of Everything, extending this interconnectivity also to humans, processes, and, as it says, everything else. To facilitate such an interrelated and common system sounds like an enormous task, and it actually is. This is why collaboration, co-innovation between corporates and startups is of a tremendous importance in this field. And our guests of today and the product innovation they are going to present to us are a beautiful example of such joint efforts. I'm very excited to talk to them about IoT and in particular the role of SIM in this sector. So I want to say hello to Mona Parsa from Deutsche Telekom, Raki Zhang from Quectel, and Rogier Lodewijks from iotta. And please introduce yourself to the audience real quickly. And I would say, ladies first, why don't you start, Mona? Hi, Mona, happy to have you here.
Hi, Julia. Hi, everybody. Here's Mona Parsa. I am a product manager in Deutsche Telekom in IoT business, and I am mainly responsible for the security and SIM products for the narrowband IoT and LTM networks. So we are focusing mainly on the low-cost IoT use cases for these two networks. And as one of my biggest projects, I'm working on nuSIM, or the integrated SIM, or the future of SIM for IoT since more than 2.5 years. And I'm happy to be here to discuss it with the other colleagues from Quectel and iotta, and to give you more information about it. Thank you.
Happy to have you here. Thank you so much, Mona. Raki, why don't you go on and introduce yourself and what you're doing?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is Raki Zhang from Quectel. Quectel is actually a IoT module vendor, and myself is responsible for the global partnership in Quectel. Yeah, here you can see Quectel. We are a #1 IoT module vendor globally, and you can see we are very focused on the R&D side. So totally we have 3,000 employees, among which we have more than 70% colleagues works in R&D position. And we are also very focused on the global coverage. We also have R&D center in Europe. So myself is very happy to work with Deutsche Telekom together to make the SIM technology, new SIM technology happen. And today also very happy to be here to discuss with you and share some information, key information about new SIM. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're also very happy to work with you and to have you here as our guest today. Rogier, last but not least, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Thank you very much, Julia. I am Rogier Lodewijks, or Roger for international speakers, founder and co-founder and CTO of iotta. We are a small Dutch company that focuses on IoT business. IoT, mostly, we don't see ourselves as a hardware company, although we make hardware, but we operate and develop sensor networks. And our main focus is delivering, data to our customers. So you see more and more processes at our partners and our customers to be data-driven and seeking for increase of smartness and efficiency through data. A lot of the data can come from sensors, and we deliver those sensors, but we deliver not only the sensor, but also the data service. So you lease the sensor and you get the data, you get exactly what you need. So a no-nonsense sensing as a service company. Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, let's dig right into it and start with the first question. Raki, how is IoT relevant for your business?
Yeah, so we can see that Quectel is an IoT module vendor. So we can say IoT business is always relevant to our company.
Sure.
Actually, we are providing IoT module to global partners, customers, and the vision for our company is to build a smarter world. So we are very happy to provide both the product and technical supporting to IoT device manufacturer, to our partner. Also, we are very happy to discuss, those new technical trends, nuSIM, for example, and work together to make it happen.
Thank you a lot. Mona, what do you have to say for this? How is IoT relevant for us as Deutsche Telekom?
Oh, okay, it's very much relevant, I would say. I feel because I'm in IoT unit. And yeah, as you know, Deutsche Telekom is a very active operator when it comes to IoT and Internet of Things. We started this some years ago with a legacy network with 2G and 3G in the terms of project M2M, so machine-to-machine communication. And we expand our network now to cover a wide variety of use cases, from massive IoT, from low-cost IoT when it comes to smart devices, low-cost devices, but big numbers, so big volumes, millions of devices, to the critical IoT when it comes to expensive devices, some critical IoT use cases like autonomous driving, and its dedicated network. So we are offering as Deutsche Telekom different network and cellular connectivity for different kind of use cases, from narrowband IoT and LTM to LTE, and also now 5G for different use cases. So it's completely relevant for all we do in IoT unit and Deutsche Telekom. And it's actually one of the priority topic when it comes to Deutsche Telekom overall strategy.
Yeah, it becomes quite clear when you look at all the use cases that you just shown. Are there as many challenges as there are use cases, in your opinion, Roger, when it comes to IoT?
Yeah, well, let's start off with the challenges. We started this company about 5-6 years ago and deployed our first sensor network in end of 2016. So we have been a couple of years as a startup operating in the field of IoT. And we'd like to start off with some general advice to all the listeners who are also a small company trying to get traction in the IoT field. Is you see, a lot of the players are interested in this IoT field or in the big data, to become data driven. So it's kind of a sexy topic where a lot of money is invested. So big companies invest a lot of money and start work groups and start separate departments focusing on IoT and on data. Smaller companies try to go into the market and seek for a lot of pilots. So they're trying to get you into a pilot to see if they have a business case that you can work on together as a startup. So what I've learned in the last couple of years is that those projects only fly when there's a real benefit for the end customer. So you see big companies, they want to be data driven, they want to have sensors, they want to embrace IoT, but they don't have a real business case for it. And what I see is that you should only pursue those projects where there's a real clear benefit for the end customer, for the end user. Typically, that's a financial benefit to improve efficiency, for instance, but it can also be like an environmental benefit for increased efficiency, so lower emissions and so on. That's a currently big topic, of course. It can also be driven by rules and regulations. So that's a challenge for a startup to really look for the projects that get this benefit to the end customer. And then more on the technical topic, the challenge we have is, as we are a service company, we decide on the technology for the customers to be used for their projects. So we have indoor systems with a high density of sensors. We have outdoor sensors. We have sensors that should operate across the border, across Europe. And for this highly connected case, I mean, this connectivity challenge lies with us as we a service provider, and we see for use cases that go outdoor, go across the board, and should work always. You see a tendency for the newish IoT networks, the telco provide like NB-IoT next to the indoor connectivity with gateways or LoRaWAN or Sigfox. You see a big tendency towards the NB-IoT networks.
Thank you so much. Mona, do you have anything to add to that? And how we can help people such as Roger tackling those challenges with our infrastructure?
Yeah. Actually, narrowband IoT is one of the networks that is designed for massive rollout. So it means that when it comes to outdoor use cases and also for indoor, because the penetration of the narrowband IoT network is stronger than the other technologies. It means that when you have some devices, for example, in the cellar, maybe you don't have LTE coverage there, but you most likely will have narrowband IoT coverage there. So narrowband IoT network was actually the rollout of this from Deutsche Telekom was answer to one of the requirements of the customers to have good coverage indoor and also having the cellular coverage nationwide and even Europe-wide and even global-wide. That's why our team is also working quite hard on the roaming, for example, agreements with the other operators all over Europe, and also in North America we have now narrowband IoT roaming agreements, and also we are expanding it quite fast to the Asia and so on. So to answer to this requirement and to solve this challenge that our customers are dealing with.
Yeah, I can agree with that, with you on that, Mona. So one of the challenges we have is we have some of our more dense installations. That means we have a building with like a couple of hundred of maybe 1,000 sensors. We tend to use local hubs or local gateways to decouple the data from there. But we also have buildings or customers that have like 100 buildings and only need 2 sensors. And we don't like to put the gateway in there. We don't like to have the SIM card in the gateway connected to 4G. That's all a lot of infrastructure, a lot of things that can go wrong. So it's much better to have a sensor that's directly connected to the network of a telco, and that's clearly the place where NB-IoT and nuSIM to that extent fits in.
Okay, I think we're getting ahead here because you mentioned it already a few times, but let's get to our focus of today. And why are we talking about SIM the whole time? Mona, do you want to explain to us why we are doing this?
When it comes to the cellular connectivity, SIM card and actually SIM profile and credentials is one of the first requirements of the device. And before we had SIM cards, so plastic SIM cards that we all know, we stick it into our mobile phones. We still do. A lot of us still using this kind of SIM form factors. We have eSIM that you have heard of, I will give you some introduction about eSIM and the differences. And now we are going to the next part, which is nuSIM, which is the future of the SIM card. And SIM card in general is something which is required for any kind of cellular connectivity. So, and if I want to talk about what is nuSIM exactly, it means that it is a SIM form factor actually designed for low-cost IoT. And nuSIM is an integrated SIM. It means that the SIM profile, whatever you require for connecting to a cellular network, is loaded into the cellular chipset. And by that, it means that we get rid of the SIM card as a physical component. And yeah, by that, it means that we simplify the processes for us and for customers. We bring robustness to the devices of the customers if they are having their use cases in extreme environmental condition, for example, in very high temperature or very high humidity. Yeah, as long as the chipset is working, the SIM card or SIM profile in the chipset is also working. And also it brings cost efficiency for the customer because it it means that the bill of material of the device for the customer is getting smaller or shorter, and all the SIM related hardware is gone. We can also offer news much cheaper to our customers than the other SIM form factors because we are just providing the SIM profile for the customer, not a piece of hardware for them. And also, yeah, it has a lot of benefits, and it's actually the next logical step when it comes to the SIM card.
All right, thank you so much. You already gave us quite a good outlook on the future of SIM now, and we are very interested in learning more about nuSIM. But let's take a step back and look at how the SIM has evolved. And maybe, Roger, you want to talk a little bit about this. What is the future of SIM? I think Mona already just mentioned a lot. We'll get back to this in a second. But what's the history of it, and what has been there before the new SIM that we're going to talk about in a second?
Okay. Let me share some slides here. Then we can continue to discuss this topic. Very interesting topic.
Sorry, I just called you Roger. Of course, I meant Raki.
That's okay. Yeah, I guess we can see the screen. So here we can see, first, this is a really very interesting topic about the evolution of SIM. So in the past, we can see the SIM technology is continually evolving. And in the very beginning, it's mainly used for mobile phones. So the form factor is a plug-in SIM card, but the size is getting smaller and smaller. Yeah, we may be very familiar that the SIM cards starts from a full-size plug-in card, then evolved to micro cards, then to nano card. And later, when M2M comes out, so the SIM card is also used for the IoT device. Then the MFF form factor comes out. For example, it's used a lot for the automotive, for vehicles. But we are still considering what's next because on the right side, we can see, I think it's very common request for those LPW applications. Here, LPW means low power wide area devices. And that's what we usually call those common IoT devices with sensors inside, with narrowband IoT connectivity inside, for example. And here we can see the devices or the device manufacturer or the IoT solution companies always request small form factor. Actually, the smaller, the better. And also low cost, low power consumption, and fully digitalized process. It means the device will be much, much easier to implement the SIM connection and the profile, and also the robustness. So considering all of these requests, the next step of the SIM technology could be, let's call it integrated SIM. That means the SIM physical component was gone, it's gone. So it's fully integrated into the module, into the chipset. Then it makes very easier for the device manufacturer. They don't need to take take care anymore about the component, the SIM component, no matter it's plastic or the chipset. They don't need to take care anymore. And the advantage, the benefit is very, very clear that the design is becoming more easier and the cost decrease. There is no extra power consumption for the SIM card or the SIM chipset. So here we also believe a lot that nuSIM as a technology of integrated SIM is super fit for those LPW applications.
Yes, getting back to Mona here, this is exactly what you just mentioned. All the benefit that fits in the advantages that nuSIM brings is exactly what we just saw here, an integrated SIM. But how exactly does it differ now in terms of all the use cases and whatever to the eSIM, for example? Can you explain that a bit more thoroughly?
Yeah, sure. So it's quite important that we understand that nuSIM is no successor of eSIM. Because we as operator, we are offering both, and we started offering eSIM as actually we were one of the first operators worldwide that we started offering end-to-end eSIM and then consumer eSIM to our customers. So nuSIM is designed for low-cost IoT and for the use cases that are in narrowband IoT and LTE network. eSIM is mainly for the high-end devices and for the use cases that, for example, the switching between the profile is quite important for the customer or for that use case. So nuSIM and eSIM coexist, but they are addressing the different part of the market. eSIM is mainly, first of all, the first difference between eSIM and nuSIM is that eSIM is still a physical component. So you need to have a piece of hardware soldered on your device, in your device, on your PCB. And then the eSIM profile, eSIM credentials goes in. nuSIM but is integrated, so it means that the physical component is gone. This is the first difference. And actually is one of the most important part when it comes to the device OEMs. The second part, which differs eSIM from nuSIM, is the cost of it. So eSIM is expensive SIM solution. So flexibility comes with some cost, and that's what the customer pays for, the one-time cost and also the reoccurring cost that they pay for the infrastructure, which is behind eSIM, which gives them the flexibility to switch between the profiles. nuSIM is low cost, so we will offer nuSIM less than 50 cents to our customers. The exact price is not yet actually fixed because we haven't yet launched nuSIM. It will come soon in 2 or 3 months, but it will be less than 50 euro cents. So it means that here, just in this one-time fee, the customer will pay less. And also in the future, there is no reoccurring cost for the nuSIM. The complexity behind eSIM is quite high. But it gives you the flexibility, but the complexity behind nuSIM and the infrastructure behind it is low, and it is actually transparent to the customer. So another thing is that the number of the profile that eSIM can handle at a time is 2 or 3 or more, but nuSIM can handle just 1 profile at a time. So it's important to have it in mind that nuSIM is designed for the use cases that this is actually not a requirement to have different profiles at a time and switch between them. We're talking about low-cost use cases like, for example, smart smoke detector. So if you have a smoke detector at your home, you really don't care actually if it has 1 profile in it or 2 or to which network it is connected. The most important thing is that it's connected and send the data. So for this kind of use cases, you don't need at all these requirements. And that's exactly where nuSIM fits. But when it comes to your car, for example, then it is important for you that you have some kind of flexibility and you can switch between the profiles. For example, if you're going for 6 months to US, maybe you want to have a local profile for it. And for that kind of use cases, when the devices are high-end devices, they're expensive, and it's important to have this flexibility, then eSIM definitely is the right solution, and not nuSIM.
I see.
One question for Mona from Roger about these profiles. I think it's good to make clear that having only one profile on the SIM card doesn't mean you can't roam, right? I think your network has coverage in 18 countries in Europe. So you can still use it all across Europe only on this one profile, right?
Yeah, exactly. So nuSIM is not different when it comes to, so for the network, it's transparent. If you have a plastic SIM or if you have an MFF chip soldered on your PCB, or it is nuSIM. So whenever your tariff or your data tariff allows you to roam, then nuSIM can also roam. It can also connect to other networks, not just narrowband IoT and LTE, but it can also connect to 2G, 3G, LTE, and so on. And it means that a profile that you have, for example, from Deutsche Telekom, and you have a data tariff for narrowband IoT and roaming, then wherever you go, and Deutsche Telekom has a narrowband IoT roaming, which we have in 18 countries and now, and it's growing the number. It means that your device connects. Yeah, but right. If you want to have another operator profile on it, then it means that you need to switch between the profiles. But nuSIM still gives you this opportunity that you override the profile. So the profile can be replaced by a new profile. It's not like that, okay, DT profile is in it, and that's it, that's the end. But you can override the profile, but it cannot handle 2 or 3 profiles at the same time.
Let's go back to this later on, because I'm really interested in now, after we heard all the challenges you have to face, Roger, and now you heard of all the benefits that nuSIM can provide to you. Would you say it's relevant for you, and how can you benefit from it now?
Yeah, we can't wait to get started.
I thought so.
So we have I said we have a pretty broad spectrum of devices. We operate like a couple of hundred devices in one building, but we also have some devices that are used outside. And we're working on 2 cases with the NB-IoT network and nuSIM. And one is a tracking solution that's used to track living material. So it's living material all shipped across Europe. And currently this company is using a solution that tracks the temperature of this living material. So that's like, it's not livestock, but it's biological things like it's bees and other insects they're shipping. And it's very important, because it's living material, to have an exact tracking of the temperature and the environmental conditions to get your living materials living at the other side, right?
Yeah,
not
makes
dead.
sense.
So they currently have a low-cost solution that works with storing the temperature across the trip, and only at the endpoints there's a connection with their backend. So only after the fact they have the full view of the data. Well, and the holy grail for them is to have the live tracking, so have live temperature and live environmental parameters present. But as you can expect, this device is stick to a container, and it should be sent back, but it's often lost in transit. So it's very important for them to have a low-cost device. And I got in touch with them. Got brainstorming with them on how to tackle this, and I said, well, when you want to have a full European coverage and live data, then you should use something like, well, the NB-IoT network of Deutsche Telekom, for instance. But there is an operational burden and a cost involved with this SIM handling, and this is where nuSIM fits in. So it's really important to have. When you optimize for cost, and especially also optimize for low logistic effort, nuSIM fits in well.
And
we have
something that is very robust, thinking
yeah.
of the.
And we have another case. I'll have a. I had a slide present, but I can't.
Take your time. Don't worry.
I do not seem to be able to share it, so it's not really a problem.
Do you want to take more time to find it, or?
No, I'm sharing is disallowed, so I'm not able to share it.
No problem. Just tell us.
So that's we call it the TLS. So it's a tank level sensing device. I think you have the slide. It looks like this. And you install it on a big tank that's used on a building site, for instance, where it's big diesel tanks. They use for pumps and used for digging machines. We have it currently rolled out, and it's based on the Sigfox network. So there's a GPS in it, and there's a Sigfox connectivity. And we choose the Sigfox network because it has the same benefits as the nuSIM. It's really simple. It's really low burden. There's an ID connected into the attached to the radio interface, and that's it. But we found out that because it's used in all kinds of places, also rural areas, that we sometimes have coverage problems. And we are talking to this customer to have the next revision built on NB-IoT with the nuSIM in it to overcome these coverage issues. And there are customers in Belgium, there are customers in the Netherlands, there are customers in England and in Finland. And all those countries are very well covered, or within the roaming agreement with, or covered by the Deutsche Telekom network. And when we switch to the NB-IoT network, we can rely on the existing telecommunications infrastructure that's already there. So it's a really sturdy network we can rely on, and have a very much improved coverage for our sensors.
That is really great to hear. Raki, did you hear that? He cannot wait to start using a nuSIM device. So do you already have one?
Yes, of course. Yeah, let me show you.
Yes.
Actually, I have one already also, but only one.
Can both show them.
Yes, here it is. Yeah, if we look at these slides, here first on the left side, I would say we already have a running nuSIM demo. Yeah, this is already what we achieved. It's not a concept when we talk about nuSIM. So here you can see the small board is evaluation board from Quectel, and there is the multi-mode LPWA module on that. And we also have a tool running in the computer to control the board. And if we look at the picture in the middle, here is the full size of the evaluation board. And very important thing is on the right side, you see there is a SIM holder there.
Empty.
Yeah. The key information here, it's empty. But during the demo, we already successfully loading the Deutsche Telekom's profile and successfully connect to the DT's network using this board without SIM card. Yeah, how it's achieved? There is a nuSIM solution totally running inside our module. And on the right side, you can see this nuSIM module. We are working first from our BG985 module. I list some key features here. This is a multi-mode LPWA module, means it's supporting both narrowband IoT, Cat-M1, and also with 2G fallback. It's based on Qualcomm 9205 chipset. It's also a multi-mode chipset. are very popular. A lot of millions, I'd like to say millions shipments already in the market. And also this is a very latest version supporting 3GPP release 14. Also GNSS integrated. And besides now, we are adding a new feature, nuSIM here. So BG95 will be 100% to support nuSIM. And if we look at the target application, IoT application for both the module and the nuSIM in future, it's very suitable for those, for example, metering devices, both for gas metering or water meter, and also electricity meter. Mm-hmm. And for smart city application, for example, smart lights, street lights, and also smart building. Yeah, just Daniel also mentioned some concern about the coverage. But with narrowband IoT, we have already testing data that this technology have advantage in terms of the coverage. There is some enhancement for the coverage. So it makes it possible to use this narrowband IoT coverage inside the building. And with the nuSIM, it will make things easier and working better. Also, the module integrated nuSIM will be suitable for some trackers, for example, smart lock devices, and etc. So I would say already have devices here. Yeah.
Great stuff. Thanks for the tech details and also for giving us an outlook on all the possible use cases we can use it for. Mona, do you have anything to add to that? What else is there out there? What other use cases? You mentioned a smoke detector before. Raki just mentioned a few other things. Is there anything else on your mind that you would like to add to this?
Yeah, there are some exotic use cases from IoT that actually integrated SIM is an enabler for them. So they're not yet existing in commercial market, but having thin devices, small devices, and also low battery consumption is the requirement for these two use cases to become alive. I can, for example, say we have some smart shoes use cases. We are working with one customer of us on it. And it's quite interesting because there is no battery in the shoe. It uses the energy harvesting. So when you move, it harvests the energy from the movement for the connectivity. And that's quite interesting. And that is one of the use cases that the customer said that, okay, we definitely needs integrated SIM. We don't want to have a component, a physical component as a SIM card in our shoes. So that's one of the use cases I can think of. Or we have some printed circuits and very thin labels that are used as a tracker on the packets. And for those ones also, it's so important to have as thin and as small possible components, and this is also possible with nuSIM or integrated SIM. And talking about this, actually, I prepared another slide of our partner portfolio, because when it comes to the customer, usually they have their preferred options when it comes to the hardware. We have now Quectel here. As Raki said, they are number one provider of the LPWA modules globally. But we also have other partners on board. And that's important because, I said there are some customers that they have other preferences. And what differentiates nuSIM from the other de facto standards, not actually de facto, some other solutions of integrated SIM in the market, is this partner portfolio. We have almost all the big chipset vendors, all the big module vendors on board. And also we have some partners in digital security and software development, which helps our partners to actually bring nuSIM into their roadmap. When it comes to security, we have some partners because security is very important for us. we as Deutsche Telekom actually cannot accept an implementation which is not secure enough that our credentials goes in. So it's quite important for us that the implementation of our partners are secure. And this is, for example, tested by TÜV IT, or this is actually helped by some of our digital security providers to make their implementation secure enough that we can accept it. We have, for example, G&D on board. This is our SIM vendor. This is providing the infrastructure of nuSIM, and all the other partners, all of them important. They are all working on nuSIM as a features in the future. Quectel is the fastest one. But the other ones will also follow. And also Raki showed you evaluation kit, and I want to say that we have these evaluation kits in Deutsche Telekom, and we are offering it for testing in our IoT creators website. I also prepared one slide regarding this link that the interested customers can go in and actually sign up for these dev kits. We also have some plain modules that the customers can use in their target devices. So we are enabling now the interested customers for the testing and also for the proof of concept. We are supporting these customers. I myself, with the nuSIM team, we are supporting these customers, and we are very keen to bring it to the market very soon in few months. And also, if anyone has any question that we cannot maybe answer in this short time that we have, you can go to our nuSIM website, and there at the bottom of the web page, you can fill in a form and send your questions. I personally read those incomes, those signups, and will come to you with an answer.
Thank you very much. You heard her. If you have any more questions beyond this discussion, contact them. But also, we do have some questions already from the audiences. So are you ready to answer them? I think the first one goes directly to you again, Mona. People are interested in the prices, options, and the limits of the nuSIM. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I said nuSIM is not yet a commercial product, so our commercial management team needs to decide on an exact price for nuSIM, but this is definitely will be cheaper than the other industrial SIM form factor that we provide to the customers. The discussion is now about the one-time fee for the nuSIM, less than 50€. It means that if you're using before, for example, industrial MFF2 chip, which you paid €1.80 something, with 50 cents or less, you will save at least €1.30 here. And also about the limits, I guess I mentioned it in the differences between eSIM and nuSIM. The limit for nuSIM is mainly that the swap or switch between the profile is not possible, so it cannot handle multiple profiles at a time. But as Rogier also mentioned, and thanks him for that, for mentioning it, because it's kind of misunderstanding that nuSIM is something else, and maybe roaming agreements is not applied for it, or it cannot, for example, connect to 2G or 3G or 4G network. This is not the case. So it's transparent to the network. So the limitation is mainly about the flexibility when it comes to the profile switch.
Thank you. Also, there were some questions about the switching. So, for example, what infrastructure requirements exist for using it, and how and when can I swap the providers?
Yeah, the infrastructure is provided by G&D. It's our SIM vendor, typical SIM vendor, and now they're also providing the infrastructure for nuSIM. Swapping between the profile asset is not possible, so it can handle just one profile at a time, but you can override the profile. And at the moment, it can be done by a physical contact to the module for overwriting the profile, but we did a successful test just a few weeks ago that we load another profile to a nuSIM device over the air using the lightweight end-to-end server. And that is a big step, I guess, for you, for the customers, that they always want to have this, backdoor that if they want to change the profile or the providers, how is it possible without touching the device itself? So that was a successful test that has been done. It will not be available in the first release of nuSIM, but this is definitely in our roadmap, and using lightweight end-to-end server is one of the easiest way for the customers and also for us to do it.
Amazing, thank you. We have another question going directly to Raki. It says, at the moment, the radio modules from Quectel are the largest contributor to the fabrication costs of IoT devices, more than $10. This price is probably too high in the long term. So when can we expect lower prices? Tricky one.
Okay. So actually, the price or the percentage of the radio module, it depends on different technology. For example, in the early stage, 4G, for example, it's a little bit expensive, yeah. But later, when LPWA technology comes out, actually, the module price already decreased. And in recent years, we can find that the whole IoT market increased a lot, which means already that the shipment for the IoT module also decreased a lot. So in parallel, the shipment increased a lot. In parallel, the cost and the price decrease year by year. So it's in a good direction, I would like to say. And if we evaluate the whole cost for the device, for the manufacturer, it's always about the total cost. Yeah, so here today we are discussing about the nuSIM. It also help the whole device manufacturer to optimize the cost from a solution perspective. Yeah, that's also why Quectel, as a module vendor, we are so happy to work on nuSIM together and help those manufacturers to optimize the whole cost here.
So basically what you're saying is with an increase in the demand, also the costs will go down eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Roger, do you have anything to add to this? Maybe you have a question to Mona. Maybe you have some things you want to clarify right away now before you get to it.
Not a question at this time. I think, by the way, that modules are already available below $10. And I think the nuSIM technology helps bringing the cost down anyway. Well, I would say from a developer perspective, when you have to choose between the different LPWA technologies, like LoRaWAN or like Sigfox or like NB-IoT, with nuSIM, it opens up it saves you from the burden of having the SIM. So it's always, for us as a developer of devices, it's a step up. So Mona calls this for low-end devices, for cheaper devices. From our perspective, this is a high-end device. So we have local connectivity, we have Sigfox connectivity and LoRaWAN connectivity without any roaming present. So having an NB-IoT device, it's from the IoT perspective, it's a really rich device. And it brings a certain burden. You have a little bit more expensive module, but you also have to have the SIM. But now when you have a fully software-loaded SIM, you don't need a device on the PCB, and I can just have my normal programming. You know, we have the device produced, and then you have a step where we program and test the device. And within this step where we test and program the devices and personalize devices to go out in the field, we can just load the SIM. So you cut out a step in the process. So you have the benefits of a fully telco operated network with all the roaming and coverage plus sites, but you don't have the burden of the SIM present, which is in my perspective, a very big step.
Okay. All right, I think we can all agree that the nuSIM will provide us with a lot of benefits, especially in the narrowband IoT applications. I'm excited to see it being used for all sorts of use cases. Thank you very, very much. This has been a very good discussion. Unfortunately, we have to come to an end now, but before we do so, I have something great to announce, some news, because our residency program is going to the next round, and we are looking for IoT startups. Who would have thought? So if you are innovating in this field and you want to take part in our 6 months incubation program on our campus in either Krakow or Berlin, starting in September, the application phase is open now. So thank you so much again for our amazing guests, Mona, Raki, and Roger. Reach out to us or to them directly if you have any more questions. I think they're happy to help out. And thanks for watching also. And if you want, you can tune back in on June 24th for the next Hubraum on Air with the topic Startups Road to Deutsche Telekom Clients. So enjoy your evening and thank you very much. Bye.